Hey, what's up, everyone? You are watching or listening to the My Comic Book Journey podcast. I'm your host, KNDY, and today's issue that I'll be focusing on is John Byrne's Next Men issue number 1 from Dark Horse Comics back in January 1992. The story and art is by John Byrne, colors by Matt Webb, executive editor Randy Stradley, managing editor Barbie Kesel. So, when it comes to comic book artists and writers, if there was an artist that I grew up reading and respecting his work, even when I was way younger, it was John Byrne. Maybe his work from Marvel's Fantastic Four, Uncanny X-Men, The Sensational She-Hulk, Alpha Flight, and his work on DC Superman. John Byrne releases are what I will always look forward to reading, because I knew that I was in for a good time. And sure, the internet tends to bring up John Byrne, the individual who speaks his mind, and whether you love him or dislike him. I grew up during the time where you didn't read too much of a person's how they were. It was not like the internet now where someone can get canceled for certain things. Back then, you go by what you read, and if the work speaks for itself, then you know that it's all good. So I never went to a convention to get an autograph from him as a fan or interview him as a professional. I have no experience meeting with John Byrne or hanging out with him. So, if anything, I know it seems I'm biased towards John Byrne if you see a lot of John Byrne issues show up, but it's because I love his work and I love his style, art style, and his writing. So, when it comes to the 80s and 90s, John Byrne experience, for a lot of people, it's just he really released a lot of awesome work. I have not read most of his newer stuff. I'm not sure if he does make newer stuff, but from the era that I read, the comic books that I read, he was just a wonderful artist and writer. So, when John's work for John Byrne's Next Men was featured in Dark Horse Presents, and even earlier with his graphic novel 2112, there was no doubt excitement for his work for independent comic book publisher Dark Horse Comics. Prior to purchasing John Byrne's Next Men, Dark Horse Comics was one of my go-tos for Japanese manga releases, as they and Viz were one of the few releasing manga a la comic book style in the early 90s. So I really had no familiarity with Dark Horse Comics outside of that. So when I purchased the first issue of John Byrne's Next Men, it would be my introduction to comics from Dark Horse. And as for John Byrne's latest series, after reading the first issue, I knew I was in it for the long haul. For the first early storylines of John Byrne's Next Men, they were published in Dark Horse Presents issues 54 through 57. Those stories were featured in black and white and would be later released as Next Men issue 0 in full color. So the first issue starts out with Bethany, Danny, Jack, Jasmine, and Nathan escaping with investigator Tony Murchison from the Greenery, an agricultural research lab project authorized by the government. These 5 individuals did not know their lives inside the Greenery was just an illusion. And now that Tony has broken them out, they have become targeted by the U.S. government, specifically from Project Head Senator Aldous Hilltop. Unfortunately, Tony has been shot and is badly wounded, but she is determined to escape with these young individuals who happen to have special abilities. And because the 5 escape, Senator Aldous Hilltop wants them all dead and will do anything to destroy all evidence of the project. As for the series, John Byrne's Next Men would last for a total of 30 issues, and as John Byrne took a 15-year hiatus from the series, he returned in 2010 with 14 more issues with IDW. What I find interesting about John Byrne's Next Men, starting with the first appearance of Hellboy in issue 21, I found that the series was literally impossible to find in comics bookstores. Having had success of finding issues 1 through 17, anything later proved to be difficult. But fortunately, John Byrne's Next Men has been releasing numerous trade paperbacks, covering the classic Dark Horse releases and the IDW releases as well. And you probably could find these issues on eBay as well, so you might definitely want to check there. But overall, John Byrne's Next Men was personally one of my favorite indie comic titles during that era. And if you haven't had the opportunity to read the series, I really recommend reading it. The artwork is just phenomenal. Let's see if I can see here. See if I can get it to show. Probably not. Well, maybe I can. Let's see here. There we go. Just look at this artwork right here. You know, they're being targeted by the US government, and next thing you know, one of them finds out that she is that she's indestructible. But certain things happen. You got to keep on reading. You got to keep on reading, definitely. So, John Byrne's X-Men, definitely a thumbs up. I can't recommend this issue enough. It's just, this whole series is pretty awesome. So again, thumbs up. Okay, everyone, you all take care. Wink, wink, and I'll see you later, everyone. Bye bye.